A familiar tool in our lives, a fastener that sticks with a quick press and releases with a satisfying rip. Found on shoes, bags, and even spacesuits, it's not just a strip of fabric with hooks and loops. It's the result of a curious observation that changed the world forever. It's a simple invention that changed how we connect things. But its story begins long before it became a household name, rooted in human ingenuity and a curious moment in nature. This is a plain telling of how Velcro began, who brought it to life, and how it spread across the world. We'll take it slowly, imagining the people and places that shaped this small but remarkable tool, from a walk in the woods to factories and beyond. Long before Velcro, people needed ways to fasten things. In ancient times, thousands of years ago, they used simple methods. In Mesopotamia, around 3,000 years before our time, people tied ropes or leather strips to secure bags or clothing. In ancient Egypt, they used bone pins or bronze clasps to hold garments together. Imagine a merchant in a dusty Egyptian market pinning a linen cloak with a carved bone fastener, ensuring it stays in place as he trades goods. These early fasteners were functional, but often slow to use, requiring knots or careful pinning, and they could wear out or break. The story of Velcro begins in the 1940s in Switzerland, with a man named George de Mestral, a Swiss engineer who loved the outdoors. One day in 1941, de Mestral went for a walk in the Alps with his dog. When he returned home, he noticed tiny burrs from burdock plants stuck to his trousers and his dog's fur. These burrs, small and prickly, clung tightly and were hard to remove. Curious, de Mestral took one under a microscope and saw that each burr was covered in tiny hooks that latched onto the loops in fabric and fur. This natural design sparked an idea. Could he create a fastener that worked the same way, using hooks and loops to stick and unstick easily? De Mestral began experimenting, determined to mimic the burr's hook and loop system. He wanted a fastener that was strong, reusable, and simple to use, unlike buttons or zippers that could fail. His first attempts used cotton, but it wore out quickly, unable to withstand repeated use. Imagine de Mestral in his workshop, surrounded by scraps of fabric, testing different materials late into the night. After years of trial and error, he discovered that nylon, a new synthetic material, was perfect. When sewn under infrared light, nylon formed strong, tiny hooks that could grip a looped fabric and release without breaking. This was the breakthrough he needed, but it took nearly a decade to perfect the design. By 1955, de Mestral had created a two-part fastener, one strip with thousands of tiny nylon hooks and another with tiny loops. When pressed together, they formed a strong bond, but they could be pulled apart with a quick tug, ready to be used again. He named his invention Velcro, combining the French words velours, meaning velvet for the soft loop side, and crochet, meaning hook for the gripping side. That year, he patented his invention in Switzerland, securing his idea legally and setting the stage for its spread. Picture de Mestral holding the first Velcro strips, peeling them apart with that familiar ripping sound, a smile on his face as he realizes he's made something new. Getting Velcro to market was not easy. At first, manufacturers were skeptical, seeing it as a strange novelty rather than a practical tool. Clothing companies hesitated, unsure if it would appeal to customers used to buttons and zippers. De Mestral traveled across Europe, visiting textile factories in France and Switzerland, showing how Velcro could simplify fastening. Imagine him standing in a noisy factory, demonstrating how Velcro strips could be sewn onto fabric, sticking and unsticking effortlessly. Slowly, he convinced weavers to produce it, refining the process to make it affordable and scalable. Velcro's big break came in the 1960s, when NASA used it during the Apollo missions. In space, where objects float in zero gravity, astronauts needed a way to keep tools, food packets, and equipment in place. Velcro was perfect. Its hooks and loops held firm, but could be adjusted quickly, even with gloved hands. It was used on spacesuits, in spacecraft, and even for small tasks like attaching pens to walls. Imagine an astronaut on the Apollo 15 mission sticking a snack pouch to their suit during a spacewalk, Velcro keeping it secure in the vastness of space. NASA's use gave Velcro a reputation for reliability, and its popularity soared. After NASA's endorsement, industries took notice. In the 1960s, the footwear industry, especially for children's shoes, embraced Velcro. It was easier for kids to fasten than laces, making shoes like Puma's 1968 Velcro sneakers a hit. Picture a child in a 1970s classroom proudly strapping on Velcro shoes, no longer struggling with knots. The sports industry followed, using Velcro in wristbands, gloves, and gear bags for quick adjustments. In hospitals, Velcro appeared in braces, splints, and bandages, offering adjustable, reusable closures. Imagine a nurse in a busy hospital securing a patient's wrist brace with Velcro, saving time and ensuring comfort. By the 1970s, Velcro was everywhere, from clothing to home decor. It was used in car floor mats, airplane seat cushions, and even military gear, valued for its strength and ease. In fashion, it became trendy, appearing in bell-bottoms and jackets, though some saw it as less elegant than buttons. A 1959 fashion show in New York showcased Velcro in everything from diapers to golf jackets, predicting it would replace traditional fasteners. While it didn't fully end buttons or zippers, it found a place in practical clothing. Imagine a 1970s designer sketching a jacket with Velcro straps, hoping to catch the futuristic trend. The 1980s brought Velcro into pop culture. In 1984, David Letterman wore a Velcro suit on his talk show, jumping onto a Velcro wall in a stunt that made audiences laugh. This inspired Velcro wall jumping at fairs and bars, where people stuck themselves to walls for fun. Picture a carnival in the 1990s, with kids lining up to leap onto a Velcro wall, giggling as they hang in place. These moments made Velcro a symbol of innovation and playfulness, not just utility. Velcro's success led to challenges. After de Mestral's patent expired in 1978, companies worldwide made cheaper versions, calling them hook and loop fasteners. The Velcro company fought to protect their brand, insisting Velcro was their name, not a generic term, much like Kleenex for tissues. They launched campaigns to remind people to say hook and loop for non-Velcro products. Imagine a company meeting where executives discuss how to keep their brand unique, frustrated by knockoffs flooding the market. Despite this, Velcro remained a leader, producing high-quality fasteners in factories across the globe. Over time, Velcro evolved. Manufacturers developed waterproof and fire-resistant versions for outdoor and industrial use. In the 21st century, Velcro appeared in tech, securing cables and mounting devices like iPads to walls. In medicine, it made wearable devices and prosthetics adjustable. Imagine an engineer designing a smartwatch with a Velcro strap, ensuring it fits any wrist comfortably. The fastener's versatility kept it relevant, adapting to new needs while staying true to de Mestral's original design. George de Mestral passed away in 1990, but not before seeing Velcro become a global phenomenon. He also invented smaller items like an asparagus peeler, but Velcro was his legacy. Inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame, his work showed how a simple observation could change the world. Picture de Mestral in his later years, watching Velcro used in shoes, hospitals, and spacecraft, proud of his idea born from a burr. Today, Velcro is a household name, found in homes, schools, and industries. It's in children's shoes, medical braces, and even spacecraft, still holding strong with its hooks and loops. Its story began with a walk in the woods, a curious engineer, and a tiny burr that inspired a big idea. From Switzerland to the moon, Velcro's history is one of persistence, showing how a small solution can stick with us through time.